Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Clarity Hotline. Let's do this, clutter-free family. Let me bring our our sidekicks on Instagram. I don't know where to put Instagram. I never do. All right, let's do it. Welcome, welcome, clutter-free family. I'm Yvette, the declutterist, your less is more coach and business mentor, and let's do this. All right, so what are we doing here? Clarity Hotline. We're answering real life burning questions and in an effort to get you unstuck, living your best life. I will be honest, I feel really vulnerable on these calls because I've got Instagram and YouTube and I'm juggling kind of what's going on in each. And then also it's kind of like these are so different than a one-to-one private coaching session. You know, it's different than just kind of broadcasting everything that normally is just kind of within my groups, within my like one-to-one cohorts. And I feel like or I should say containers, one-to-one containers. But I will say this, like what keeps me coming is that I love it. And it's clear to me that this is something I'm passionate about. Because I used to do the Clarity Hotline years ago, and since I'm coming back to it, it always had a draw for me. Like I always had like, oh yeah, I want to. Hi, welcome, welcome. Come on. I'll get into the questions that we've got submitted. But I'm just like, you know, and I did a post recently. I did a video upload to YouTube about imposter syndrome. So it feels timely because there is a kind of a stage element, like getting on stage here and delivering, you know, for whoever's watching. But I do appreciate you, whoever is watching. I feel like I know you. I feel like I get you. I feel like I see you. I feel like you see me. I probably know you. We probably run into each other at some point in this life. And I just appreciate you. I appreciate you watching live. I appreciate you watching the replay. It's really all good. Okay, so let me tell you the pre-submitted questions so you know. So we've got, how do I heal my relationship with money? How do I declutter sentimental things? And then I can't stay motivated on my weight loss goals. What do I do? And there's a little bit of context there. So I set out for three questions and we'll see, we'll see if I can get through them all. And then of course, if you guys have any comments, chime away. And I see both chats if you have any questions. But yeah, let's start with a breathing exercise. Let's be here now. Shake off any tension, get into it. Big breath in, big breath out. If you can close your eyes, of course do. But if you can't, that's okay too. Breathe in and out. And remember, we're breathing in that clarity that we're seeking today. And we're exhaling whatever doesn't serve, whatever tension's keeping us stuck, whatever anxiety wants to tell us we're wrong. We're breathing all that out so that we can be here now. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so we'll start with, which one should we start with? I'm thinking the money question. So Megan asks, how do I heal my relationship with money? And there's no other context. And I want to applaud Megan because I feel like this is a broad question because it's an existential question. She's on a journey of self-discovery and she's recognizing some patterns in herself. And I want to acknowledge you for making that first step. In healing is acknowledgement, right? So making that first step, I think we gloss over that so much so fast. And it's like, wait, hold on. This is part of the work. We're healing our relationship with money. I am healing my relationship with money. I am tapping into something that's been eating away at me for years, or am recognizing in myself things that I normally do when I have money, normally do when I don't have money. And I want to heal those patterns. I want to see them. I want to course reroute them, reprogram, recondition myself to behaving differently, right? And so there's a lot of acknowledgement with that. That's a huge thing. So Megan, thank you. All right, so I want to give you some things to think about. They could be journal prompts, or if that is something you want to do, or as you're driving, kind of think about it. Don't have the radio on and just kind of think about it. And it's this, how do I behave? How do I behave when the subject of money comes up? What am I feeling? So how do I behave when the subject of money comes up? So what are you feeling when the idea of money in the past comes up, money currently, your current financial situation, and then what you kind of see for yourself in the future when it comes to money? Are there any gaps? Are you living some kind of way that you think needs to be drastically different from you to get to the version of yourself that is healed in her relationship with money? So notice the gaps. And this is just one kind of question. Money is such an important topic. I feel like we definitely can't dive in as deep as it is. But I think all these questions that came in that we're going to answer today have like a depth to them, kind of like a crying out of like, I see this in myself and I don't want it anymore like this. And money's a big one. And I think money stands in the way of, even in business, since I'm really serving entrepreneur moms, they will come into the mastermind with me and we'll have time working on our money blocks. Because it is such a thing that will deter you, discourage you, derail you, delay you, all the things. Because what is money really at the end of the day? It's transaction. It's asking and receiving. So when I have a good relationship with money, then I know money flows, right? Money flows in the asking, money flows in the receiving. It's like this exchange is just beautifully symbiotic and harmonious, and no problems, right? That's the ultimate energy of money. That is that. But like money as energy is like love. Money is like abundance. I'm trying to think of another thing that's just divine and there for us. As soon as we tap back in, it's there. Money is that kind of an energy. And that's the great thing about it, right? It doesn't have to be subject to what we think it is, the gold standard of the 70s, pre-70s. It doesn't have to be like, oh, crypto, right? Like we drop into those containers because we think it's the vehicle out of our problems with money. But really, it boils down to our relationship with money, knowing that money can flow in and out, and that exchange be beautiful, even the out, right? Even the giving. And when you're starting a business, what I go through with my moms is we kind of work on that. Like, well, what are the stories that you're telling yourself about money? And why can't you ask for the sale? Why can't you then receive and not get refunds? Receive the money because what you have is valuable in exchange for that money, and you believe that and you embody that, right? And it's like we've got to accept that, because that's part of the exchange, that our value, what we're giving to the world, is valuable enough that people pay me for it, right? There's that acknowledgement too. Like there's that that coming to terms with the fact that, excuse me, there's coming to terms with the fact that it's we're not going to be giving them money back. We're giving them value, something, our intellectual property, something we've done, something we've created, something we've built, something we have perfected all these years, something we painted, right? It's basically what we've created from nothing. It's very much like putting that value into the world, receiving money and not expecting refunds, not expecting people to return it and say, oh, this didn't work for me, because that is then a value conversation. It's and what a value conversation is a self-worth conversation. It's like, what do you feel you're worth? There's so much to this, right? Anyway, that's why there's like a whole module around money when I work with my entrepreneur moms. Well, with any entrepreneur, let's be honest, this thing, you asked such an existential question, Megan, that it does it goes into all aspects of our lives, not just business. But I'm just pulling out the example of business because business represents like really going out there and putting yourself out there and saying, this is what I can offer you, and is it worth any money to you? And is it valuable that you'll spend your money on it? And there is a lot of power in that, versus versus just being in a job. But like business, there's also career, right? A career person, somebody who has studied for a career, educated themselves, went out, got practice, interned, unpaid, did it year after year, went through, climbed the ranks, fought for promotions, went to different departments because they saw that fit better within a company. There's so much planning, right? And self-worth conversations in that too. And that represents, right? Climbing the ranks represents kind of meeting your next version of you and saying, oh, she or he's making this money and it's because I'm worth it, So money is a big one for all of us in any way, shape, or form. It's a big one. And so let's go to kind of the next part of what I would recommend you do on this kind of a question. How do I heal my relationship with money? We don't grow from a place of feeling judged, but accepted, right? So when we feel like we're seen, heard, understood, even respected for being honest, owning our truth, right? Like when we feel that way, then it's like, okay, now I can do this. Versus kind of being stuck feeling judged. When we feel stuck feeling judged, then I don't know about you, but if I'm feeling judged, it makes me kind of want to curl up and die. I want to like curl up in a ball and never come out but that's kind of, those are the chops that we got to get better at. Feeling judged, being rejected, because they don't mean anything. They don't mean anything about your worth. It's just something you've got to move through. And when we acknowledge that, that's clarity. That is clarity. Being able to acknowledge that kind of in every facet of your life, then you're unstoppable. And so right now we're just working with, okay, well, let's be unstoppable with our money flow in and out. Let's be unstoppable with that. Well, we can't start from a place of judgment, and we're not when we acknowledge that we want to heal our relationship with money. So that's the good thing. We're not coming from a place of judging ourselves. However, when we notice the acknowledgement, when we acknowledge where we are with money, our relationship with money, and we continue to berate ourselves and tell ourselves how bad we are with money, instead of saying, hey, from this place of acknowledgement, I'm more empowered to kind of take the step that gets me more healed in my relationship with money. That's where that clarity is, that level of consciousness is, versus stepping down to feeling judged by yourself that you are this way. It's like, well, then you're going to naturally just repeat the behavior that keeps you in hiding. Because what feels good when you're feeling judged? Hiding from being judged. The ego doesn't want to feel judged anymore. So it will put you in a hole and throw away the key if it could. If it meant not feeling the judgment that hurts you so bad, that makes you want to not give up, not live with the pain anymore, right? It's kind of like the ego wants to survive too. So when it comes to helping you grow from a place of acknowledgement, that's where you find your motivation, you gain momentum, boom, 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 and the rest is history. And it starts with that clarity, right? The clarity that you now have, knowing that you have a relationship with money that could use some attention, And this might, and Megan, if you're on with me, let me know. This might be something that came up for you after you healed something else, right? Like, well, I lost a few pounds and now I feel like I want to tackle my relationship with money, right? It's kind of like you're empowered in some area of your life to start to move into other areas of your life that you want to give attention to. So did we get this one? I do want to say this. So I will throw this out there as far as like some extra help, because little shifts like this, and I think it kind of runs the gamut through all the questions today, little shifts to move in the direction you want to go toward that next version of you is little shifts, little changes every single day. And my one simple shift habit tracker will help you just kind of pinpoint what's the one simple thing I could do every single day that gets me closer to that person, gets me living a little more consistently, because now it's a new habit, living like that next version of me would in this scenario. Because ultimately, the next version of you is going to carry different baggage, right? Less baggage, hopefully, is going to make different decisions. And all of those factors make this the next version of you, right? You kind of leveled up, for lack of a better phrase. So observe how you first we talked about, like, how do you behave when you feel like you have money and when you feel like you don't? How do you behave? So just journal on that. What do you feel? What comes up for you when you think of money? When you think of having money, what comes up? What do you get filled with? Fear, dread, like you'll never have that feeling again? Or is it like, oh, excitement? I can see me having, $1 million in the bank, not even in my in my in my net worth, but like just sitting there in the bank. I don't even have to like touch it because the things are just, it's like in savings, whatever, right? It's like, how big can you dream? Why not? If you're doing the work, you might as well dream big. And so every little dream starts with, ticking away a little bit at a time. And so the one simple shift habit tracker will help you find those simple shifts to make so that it's more accessible, right? This change we seek is more accessible. That's what I would recommend. So I'll drop that link in the notes. And let's get to another question before we run out of time. Okay, which one do we go to? Let's go to Lionel and Regina's question. This is a little couples question, I think, which is very cool. I love the support there and the accountability. I can't stay motivated on my weight loss goals. What do I do? And the context here, and I'll, no need to go into a lot of this, and that's okay. But it does boil down to losing 50 pounds, feeling like you're going to be stuck at 50 pounds overweight the rest of your life, like feeling kind of the dread of that. And so I think I'm talking to a team here, and that's just the way it showed up in the submission form. But I want to just kind of applaud you if you are a team. I think it's hard, Lionel and Regina. I'm imagining you married and you're kind of going on this journey together, or maybe your brother and sister going on this journey together, and you're asking for the team. Like what do I do? Because I just can't stay motivated. Maybe I'm not a good accountability partner to my person here, because I just keep messing up, or and so I keep eating the extra calories. And so how do I stay motivated so that I can help this person? That's what came up for me when I read that. But I do want to just kind of speak to it. Where are my notes? I was able to jot some things down. Yeah, okay. So I do want to speak to the weight loss. So the main question. But I think it's really huge. I just wanted to give kudos for the accountability, because accountability is huge, and do this work together. Okay, Lionel and Regina, I hope you're watching this and going to do this work together, because I've got a couple little journal prompts for you too. One, is it really about the weight? Is it really about the weight? Or is it you feeling like you're letting yourself down? And we talked about accountability, letting the other person down. What is it? And I think it's even deeper than that, letting yourself down. I think our clutter manifests in different ways. So it manifests in our bodies, it manifests in our homes, it manifests in our bank accounts, it manifests in our relationships, and it starts to look a certain way, right? The clutter we carry looks a certain way. And oh, sorry, I think I got a notification. It starts to look a certain way, and then that becomes the story that we tell, right? It's almost symbolic. And I could walk into somebody's house and tell them where the clutter is, not just the physical stuff, but our homes are a reflection of us, and we kind of like stack our clutter. It's in our relationships, it's in the relationship dynamics, right? The discord. Is there discord? Is there flow? Is there stuck energy? Are there fights when it comes to kitchen? What's in the pantry? What's in your closet? What are you wearing and not wearing, and why? So there's so much, without getting too into that, there's so much that we are hiding in our clutter, that we think, oh, I'm just going to declutter my house and everything will be all good. Oh, it feels so great to just get decluttered. Well, that's because you're moving on something, right? There's some energy of movement out of the stuck place. So it's representative. It's both tangible and intangible. It's doing intangible work, the work it needs to do within yourself to declutter an external environment. When you do the deeper work, you're doing it simultaneously, mental and environmental. It's kind of happening at the same time, because, in which we're going to get into actually in the next question, even too, the sentimental items. So it's like, we've got these layers, these physical layers that we sometimes have to move through before we get to kind of the heart of things. But that's what's cool about it. That is the journey you're on. This is the journey that you are on. And what is the story that you're telling the world about your life through your weight? What is the story that you're wanting the world to believe about you through your weight, through your size, through your shape, through your energy level, through how you walk into a workout? What are you telling the world? And why I say that is because it's what you're telling yourself, some form of that. You're telling yourself some form of that. And when you get some insight into this, what your weight signifies, is it, oh, it's so hard to come off. I can't drop these last pounds. And I'll use 50 because 50 is in the question. 50 pounds feels like a lot, right? it feels like, oh, how when am I going to live the rest of my life, like you said, with this extra weight? And I think you even asking that question knows you don't have to, right? If your motivation is losing that extra weight as you call it, then you know you can get there. So you're not motivated to get there because it feels like, whoa, how am I going to do that? Lift that and get there, right? It's like we're already trying to act in all ways as this person who's lost the weight versus slowing down and making the small little incremental steps, learning the skills, learning the systems, and even the little tricks, to avoid some of your triggers that this person who's our next version has learned along the way. So we want to also learn those things. This is part of the journey. This is part of the work. And right now, if life is feeling hard, like you're not finding the time to work out, you're not making meals, you're not making the time to make healthier meals so that when a craving happens, it's like you go to the kitchen, and in the kitchen there's not something healthy to pull out ready for you to eat and curb your appetite, satisfy your hunger, put you in a better state of mind to move forward with the rest of your day, right? If that's not already, because you haven't made the time or you haven't found the time to make those healthier meals, and it just kind of feels like this hamster wheel, right? This rut that we're in, this just kind of repetitive cycle of overeating, eating unhealthy. So that feels, if that is the scenario, life is hard. And so then what can you change about what the story you're telling yourself about your life is? What can change? What is a new story that you can tell about your life? Maybe and this is, where gratitude journals come in great. It's like jot down what you're grateful for. And why do that is because you want to tell a different story. You want to tell a different story you want to tell a story where there's nothing in the way of you achieving your dreams, right? Ultimately, that's where we want to go. But it's not always just overnight that we can get there. There takes some unlearning of things, some discovering of new things, some implementing of some structure and systems, things that help lift the load, because mentally we can't do everything as if it were brand new. There are some habits that we can start to put into place, and then it just becomes, okay, well then now let's shift into some better habits, right? Beginning with what I believe about my life that feels so hard, that makes losing weight now hard. And, because then so I invite you to journal about that, because here's what I think you'll come up with is the symbolism of the weight, right? And so getting some insight into the symbolism behind the weight, right? What the story you're telling about your life to the world through your weight, the story you're telling yourself about your life, and where you are in your life right now is symbolic of the weight. So we want to address that first. And now moving into motivation, kind of that motivation crux of it, because that goes back to coming from a place of acceptance, not judgment. So how you're talking to yourself. You want to obviously come from a place of acknowledging. So you already acknowledged, bravo, you acknowledged when you set out on your weight loss journey, and maybe you've lost some weight and you're hitting a plateau. So wherever you are, you're kind of like coming back to this, oh, I lack motivation. But you did experience being motivated on this, right? Because the question feels like you've been trying, and are you just going to kind of live with it? So I feel like you're in the advanced stages of acknowledgement. So congratulations. And so you tap into that person, and motivation isn't going to always show up on the hard days. It's not going to show up on the hard days. And so that's where our systems come in. What do we do instead? Maybe the simplest shift we can do on a hard day when it's stressful, and my normal go-to is to grab a brownie when I'm stressing out and eat the whole thing. Well, maybe a shift is, before I eat that brownie, I'm going to drink 8 ounces of water. And that I can do on a hard day. What is that for you? But you do want to, so see how that version of you would say, yeah, start with water. Water's great. They wouldn't say, oh yeah, tell yourself how much you suck and how much you won't lose that weight and how much it's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. Notice how that's not going to get you to that empowered place of that next version of you. And so it starts today with feeling that little bit of empowerment, moving up the levels of consciousness from judgment to acknowledgement, from fear to empowerment, from loathing to love, right? It's just like, what little bits can we, that's where the gratitude journal comes in. What little bits can we invite in that make us feel better about the situation? And there's something in you that believes that you can get to the goal that you set for yourself. And I think it's because you're in the advanced stages of acknowledgement. And there's something in you that's asking for the motivation, because you know that when you tap in, you're going to get there, because you already see that you're there. In your mind's eye, you can see that you do it. You just don't know how to do it yet. And so that's why for the universe, it's not a question of how. It's just a matter of asking. It's a matter of asking and knowing the universe is at your back, pushing you forward, opening the doors with that gust of wind that you need to walk through. And so think about that version of you. You know that they believe you can do it because they're there. They're on the other side of you doing it. So ask for some motivation from that person. And you know you can get there, because otherwise you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see it in your mind's eye. You wouldn't have any idea of 50 more pounds to go, because you wouldn't even see the 50 pounds less person. You see it. Stay there. Don't lose that. That's your holy grail. And that's something that you believe you can get to. So call her up, call him up, call them up. What would they do in this situation right now? How they would drink the water. They would drink the water before the brownie, and that's all they would do today. They would still have the brownie, because maybe in that next version of you, she's not depriving herself of things. She's giving into the good things. Maybe she doesn't eat the whole brownie. Maybe she has a bite and it's like enough. Maybe she doesn't even crave the thing anymore. Like the sky's the limit. Whatever you believe accounts for the weight gain, then the person who doesn't have the weight is probably acting contrary to that. Did you follow that? So here's how to call her up. Call this person up. What's the one thing I can do today that reconnects me with the version of me that I believe in, that I can get to, that I know is there waiting for me, even if it's just one simple thing today? What can I do today that reconnects me with the version of me that I believe is there? And she's waiting for me. She's standing there waiting for me, knowing I can do it. I see her because some days I am motivated, so I know she's there. Some days I'm not. And on this little day, what's the one thing I can do? And some days it's going to be, man, I can get a 30-minute cardio, 30-minute HIIT, 30-minute Tabata, 30-minute Pilates, 30-minute, I don't know, 30-minute weight training, 10,000 steps in, like you could do it all. And then there's some days where it's like, I don't want anything to do with no treadmill. Get away from me with those healthy chips, vegetable chips. So for you two, and whoever else this resonates with, download the One Simple Shift Habit Tracker. I'm going to put that in the notes as well. Let's see, what else did I have in here? Oh yeah. So okay. So here's some more motivation for you, because what you do, it, so motivation is just a series of decisions, right? A series of small decisions that you make every single day on repeat. And that's why I was saying, like, building it as a habit, you don't have to make those decisions. There's not the heavy load. It's just kind of like instinctual, it's second nature. And the more good feeling habits we create that are second nature, right? What's a life like that feel like? Good. And so when we make these small little decisions, that's what motivation is. They compound and compound these small little decisions. And then we've got momentum at our back. And then it's like boom, 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 right? We just keep kind of riding that wave. And so that I want to encourage you with that. And I want to say this, you know, when we think about that big gap between us now and that next version of us, it does feel like this huge mountain to climb, because that's our work. That's our work to do. And of course, it's going to feel like a mountain to climb. Otherwise, we wouldn't be drawn to the challenge and up for making it over the mountain. We wouldn't be up for it. But in this lifetime, we are. Okay. And that's why meditation is so powerful, because we slow down the busy body and we get to put some attention on our thoughts, because ultimately it all starts there. This journey that we live, this journey of life, begins in our minds. And if I just like, if I can see it, I can achieve it. If I also see the mountain in front of me that I have to climb in order to achieve it, I can also get very demotivated. I can get very discouraged really fast. And that's a mindset trick, right? That's where clearing up that mental clutter comes in. That's where telling ourselves new stories comes in, because we're working on that story we're telling ourselves. And so that's why meditation is so powerful. We slow the busybody down, we turn our attention within, and we start to hear these stories. Then it's like, oh, that's what you keep telling. That's what you keep saying. No wonder this feels so hard, because you think it's hard. What if we stopped thinking it's so hard? What if we said, what if we found our easy? And goes back to the little simple shifts that are accessible. I can easily bite this off right now, given my bandwidth, given the time of in my day, given my mental state, given my emotional state, given my physical state. I can do this. So we find our easy, right? And that one little easy shift made over time compounds and compounds and compounds. And before you know it, you like look up and you're like, oh man, I'm at the top. I'm at the top of the hill. And I just got to ride the wave, or I could sled down this thing and get to the next version of me. But along the way, let's think about this. Along the way, who did I meet? What did I learn about myself? How much better do I feel about being alive, right? Having conquered all of that to get to the top of the mountain. It's a beautiful place, right? And if you knew you could feel that exhilaration even a little bit, right? Wouldn't you? And so that's why when we turn in and we ask ourselves these deeper questions, and we come face to face with some insight about our patterns, our personality, our programming, what we believe about life, and how it shows up in our behavior, then wow, it's like, oh, okay, well, I can easily tap on a little shift and make this weight loss journey happen, and I can even accept, dare I say, even accept a down day, even accept feeling like, my mom always says this, which I love, because I think she gets this. I'm saying something she would say. You take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, you're still ahead. And it's true, right? It's like, we've got to find those little, she's full of those little sage one-liners. And it's like, you're still ahead. And if that works for you, tell yourself that too. But so if we want to kind of drop into some meditation here, I'm not going to guide you through meditation, but I want you to, when you're rewatching this, to forget about the 50 pounds for a minute. Forget about that big goal, that big mountain you have to climb. Instead, think of like the journey, right? You are like, oh, slowly climbing the mountain, meeting people along the way, finding out about yourself, moving your body because it feels good to climb, to see higher. It feels good to be working out in a way that feels good, right? Climbing, maybe being out in the fresh air feels a lot better than being stuck inside on a treadmill, and I know I'm metaphorically speaking here, and then I just brought it back to real terms, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you find your easy. I love dance, like I guess I should be in a Zumba class or something, for my, I don't, anyway, for my exercise, but anyway, all that to say, forget about the mountain, right? Think about the climb as part of the journey. Enjoy, enjoy that version of you as she's working toward that next version, right? It's like all these incremental versions of you also are happening along the way. And can we enjoy that person too? So speak kindly to that person. Acknowledge this huge milestone achievement of acknowledging where you are on your path, and knowing that, hey, you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there. But some days feel like this. Some days feel like this. What can you still do? What can you do today that can still feel easy, but on the path, your aligned path to get to that version of you. I got a comment here. Thanks for this alive. I was able to translate in a way that helps me. Oh, good. I know. I don't know how the translation works. I know all the apps are getting really good with translation and captions. Once I post this, it'll have captions, I hope. But thank you. Thank you for chiming in. I receive that and appreciate that. All right. So let's see. We've got some time to dive into this our other question. How do you declutter sentimental things? And that's a big one, because I feel like I'm doing that right now. I feel like, it feels like a lot of loss this year, because I was just talking to two other people who lost somebody recently. And that's just recently. That's not even within the last 2 months. More people have lost somebody. And so it's hard to be in a place of mourning, because it just feels like, whew, what was once there isn't. And so, I swear, I read this question and was like, okay, I can do this today. I can do this today. Okay. How do you declutter sentimental things? I think, I am going through my dad's stuff. As many of you know, I lost my dad in March, and we're going through his stuff. I will tell you this. I kept a lot of practical, not even a lot, but practical stuff from him. Like, I kept his stapler. Because, well, one, I don't have one, and two, I like his. I don't know. It reminds me of him when I look at it. It reminds me of my childhood, actually. That's how old it is. And that might be more why I kept it. But it does absolutely remind me of him and how he held on to everything. But as far as sentimental things go, I have his pendant he wore. I have his watch, which in my recollection, as I know it, he wore every day of his life. If it were up to me to say, I would feel like he wore this watch every single day. So I have some pretty special, near and dear things, and I'll even wear his watch when I really want to tap in to hear from him. And do I hear from him? I think I do. I think what I feel, I think I seek his presence to calm me, and that's what I get. So there's no necessarily an answer from him, like, Eva, do this in his dad way, the way he would. I'm a robot. I'm my dad robot. There's no like template that I feel like I'm hearing from him, except maybe, the really sweet things, that, why I love him. But anyway, I have that kind of stuff, and pictures. I wanted pictures for my boys to see their grandpa, so can't get enough of those things. A lot of those pictures are digital. So I think when it comes to immediately what I want to say about decluttering sentimental things is, it's natural. I mean, we're going through the grieving process, and when you're going through the grieving process, which can happen for years, it's a distancing of the tangible nature that person represented, and it's moving to more intangible representation that that person is in your life. And that takes some time, right? And nobody needs to move through it fast. Nobody, it's not a race. Let it be what it is. You might know, you might notice that the more you recognize on a soul level, um, on a spiritual level, because this will hit, um, that he chose to go, right? Our people choose to leave. And as much as that is foreign, when it feels no, they didn't. I wanted them here. Um, I like to think that they chose to leave, that they chose the life and the death, right? It's kind of that is what we are given when we come into this life form and live this human experience. That is what we're up for. That's a guarantee: birth and death. And my uncle says it so beautifully, and it's in Spanish, and I don't know how to repeat it, but he was telling me the same thing at my dad's funeral, and I was really grateful that he did, because you just need to remember that. So I started saying that it feels like a lot of loss this year, but it's like that every year. It's like that every year. Thank you for the hearts. It's like that every year. And the year before that, right? It's like our perspective is having lost somebody. So it feels like everybody's losing somebody, because we don't want to be in the feeling all alone. It feels good to connect with somebody who's also lost somebody. It feels better not to be alone in that feeling. Hi, hi. And if so to lose somebody, it feels natural, especially close to the recency of the loss, to keep the sentimental things, right? Because it's like, well, I don't have I don't have the tangible person, but I still have this here. This is tangible. This is of that person, so I can keep this. So as much as you can, if you can put some distance between decluttering the sentimental things and the actual loss, that'll serve you. However, you don't need to wait to uncling from the stuff, the sentimental items. When you recognize, you could attach yourself to everything, but ultimately what you're remembering are the things you want to remember, right? And so you're keeping things that spark a memory, when all you can do, and you don't need this thing for that, because all you can do is you can read a book, you could hear a line, you could hear a laugh, you could think it's your dad laughing, you could dream about the person, you could hear a song and remember the person singing that song, or remembering that you danced to it at your wedding with him. You can think about all those things, and those are intangible things, so you don't need anything to remember this person, right? But we start to cling and obsess over things because it's easy, right? It's easily accessible. We talked about that shift, that shift toward what feels easy right now. What's the most accessible thing? And right now, I'd rather live with more things than the regret of giving it away and be like, oh, that thing would have totally came in handy right now, because I'm missing him when he did this. And so I wish I had this. I wish I had the outfit he wore that day when he said that thing. That's how potent the memory is. But that's when you just want to drop in, right? That's when you want to drop in, not hold anything, necessarily, right? You just want to drop in and remember the person. And so that's what I would say. It's like, what about this thing as you hold it represents this person for you in your life? And can you let it go, knowing that you can always tap into that, the memory of that person acting in this way, behaving in this way, saying this thing, filling your heart in this way, just by simply remembering it, right? And so then that is like, that's a journal entry. I remember him when he this. I remember that day when I felt this way. And notice how it does boil down to how you feel, because these are your memories. And so you want to keep your memories sharp. You want to keep your memories sharp, but you only have so much life to live, so much space in your life for your own crap, let alone someone else's. And if you don't even have enough lifetime to live through the things that you own, then you don't need anyone else's. And in fact, no spirit, no angel in your life wants you to cling and hoard anything that they owned. Even if their human form wanted you to have it and they left it to you in their will, they would like you to be as free as a bird as you want to be, because that's what they return to. And they recognize that's kind of like, ultimately, we don't want to lose that potential of the relationship. We don't want to lose the memory, because in the memory lies the potential, right? The potential to make us happy, the potential to make somebody else happy, the potential to make this person proud, the potential to pass it on to my kids and say, hey, this is the story of your grandpa when he did this, and this is what he was holding, and to see it light up in their face when they recognize, oh my gosh, wow, cool. Like, there's so much potential power in that. Thanks. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to let that go. So then it's like, well, then go back to your journal, go back to sitting in the dark and remembering this person. For me, I can hold this and, not even see it, and maybe just kind of like, busy my body. That's what we're doing with this stuff. We're busying our body. And then I can start to bring attention to my mind. And what does my mind want to think about my dad right now? And I know that's a lot of thought work, right? So then we've got to still get through some sentimental items so that we don't bring it all home. Well, then it's like, okay, well, move slowly through this process. Maybe connect with that person before you sit down to move through things. Connect with that person. Hear from that person reminding you that you don't have to hoard any of this stuff. You don't have to save anything that I left you if you don't want it. You can let it go. And I won't hold that against you. It's like, I won't take it personal. I won't take it personal. You can do that. You can let it go. Maybe you have that conversation, and then you step in the room that needs the decluttering, and you move through piece at a time. This is where accountability can come in. Somebody else helping you do this. I've got 4 siblings. We're five kids. I've got 4 siblings helping me do that, reminding me not to hold on to everything. But if whoever's in your corner that you can bring in the fold with you and help you move through some of this stuff and remind you that, okay, I don't need to hold on to this to and it actually, even better, something better came to my mind with that. I don't need to hold on to this to remember this person and to value what they are and continue to be in my life, right? What they represent. I don't have to hold on to this for that. Okay. And this accountability buddy of yours also can just be an ear to hear. And I would actually ask them, especially if there's no direct attachment, and they won't get lost in the sentimentality of it like you. They could just be an ear to hear the stories that you want to tell as you move through some of this stuff, because it does feel good to tell somebody who will listen, and tell them in a way that maybe resonates with them to some level, that further bonds you to, that gives them a taste of this person. So you're still letting that person impact your life beyond you, right? Because I know when it comes to services and funerals, it's great to see the impact and hear the impact that the person you loved had on other people. Whoa, wow, he impacted so many more people than just me. That's a touching thing. And so we like to hear those stories. And so to impact another person through a story, is really holding that legacy right front and center, and saying, here, I'm not going to drop this. I'm not going to drop this legacy. I'm not going to drop what you mean to me. Um, you're still alive in my heart. So let's see. I think that's it. Oh yeah, this too. This is important. So remember, decluttering something sentimental doesn't mean you're getting rid of that person. You're just making room for yourself to also live, right? You're not dead. You didn't die. And so in the case of survivor's remorse for some people, right, there's a lot of guilt associated with not also dying. So that's a heavy burden. And then kind of trying to move on with your life as if, why am I still here? What's the value of me? First is just, losing a family member, right? Somebody that was part of the fabric of your every being. It's like, you want to respect them and not declutter things. Because that to you would be disrespectful, decluttering this thing, right? It would be inappropriate given the magnitude of the impact they made in your life, right? But that's not what decluttering is. And so that's why I love the telling of the stories to a friend who's there to just help you move through this room and get it cleared out. You get to tell these stories, continue to pass this legacy on, pay it forward, carry it forward, just intangibly, just in essence, just in oral storytelling, which is how any of our ancestors know anything and how we know anything today. It's like, who wrote it down, who talked about it the most, who said it the loudest, who said it on repeat, and who wrote it down. What you want to do is just kind of honor your life with keeping only what really resonates, what empowers you to go from grief to love, right? Come out of mourning into appreciation and celebration, right? Those little things every day. And you might feel them toggle all day long, especially as you're moving through their stuff to clear it out. So know that decluttering is actually a beautiful process that we get to move through as a way of telling stories again, reminding ourselves of things we forgot. It's like, but that really are crucial in who we are and what we believe, right? Even to the point of, hey, I'm glad I let that go. He used to say that all the time, but I'm glad I let that go. I don't believe that anymore. But it still brings a smile to my face, that he knew himself enough to know this about the world or whatever. And so it's a process, right? Moving through, what can you tell yourself about this person with this sentimental object, with this thing? What can you tell yourself about this person? And if you can't tell yourself anything about this person without this thing, then keep it. If it brings you that much joy, that much peace, that it connects you with that memory, or you want to share it with somebody else, then, absolutely keep it. Keep it. If it doesn't, if there's other ways of getting that same exact memory or that same exact feeling, a blanket, maybe you don't need 2 blankets, right? You just need 1. That kind of thing. So I hope that helped. Anyway, you can submit your questions on clarityhotline.com, or just comment the question. I can pull some from the comments as well. But that is it. If you want to talk a little bit privately with me, a little bit more on maybe your question privately with me, there is a way to book a call. I'll also put that link in there. Find what's available for you and we'll make it work. And get on my calendar and we'll talk more about these real life questions so that we can get you unstuck and clear and back to living your best life. All right. See you next week, Thursday, 12 noon Pacific, for another Clarity Hotline. Peace. All right. Peace out, YouTube.